Spectres, welcome back to another exciting week of the Mass Effect Lorecast, and this week we have our eyes on the immediate future because we are just over a week away from N7 Day 2025, and joining me as always is Jennasis. Jennasis, how are you?
I'm doing much better today, but I did have to have emergency tooth work done on Sunday. So if I'm a little quiet this week, it is because my jaw is still pretty damn sore.
Yeah, that your induction port is suffering right now.
Very much so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will try and not get Jennasis to recite long codex entries and things that would require her to talk a lot. But I'm so happy that you were able to make it here tonight with us, Jennasis. And we're not alone in this Google Meets call. We've got actually a pretty full house tonight. So we've got our patrons, and I'm just going to go down the list here and read them. Psych, Yukon, can I call you? His name is Jeff. Jeff, and Astronaut, and Retrobot, and Magistrate Avita, Batarian Buttshot. Everybody, welcome in. On the count of three, let's all say N7 Day, shall we? 1, 2, 3. N7 Day.
N7 Day.
N7 Day.
There we go. There's your demonstration of the delay right there if you're listening in your car. So, besides the joys and difficulties of live broadcasting, we have a lot to talk about today. Not the least of which is probably some lingering pessimism regarding the N7 Day that's coming up, specifically because I feel like it's just been a 1, 2, 3 punch of bad BioWare-related news over the past year or so. Most recently, of course, we got that news that EA was being bought by a private equity firm and basically a public equity firm from Saudi Arabia. That didn't spell well for a lot of the very sociopolitical themes that have been present in BioWare games like Mass Effect, and it also just didn't sound like a good thing that, you know, private equity firms are buying EA because they're going to look to shore up funds, and where can we cut? BioWare hasn't had like a huge hit in a little bit, but that's just a little bit of the context for where we're going with this conversation. I want to have most of the airtime today dominated by our patrons here joining with us. And so I'm going to go through the list of our patrons clockwise from the order from I'm viewing them here on my screen. Starting with you, Psych, if you're ready to tell us what you want out of this upcoming N7 Day.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. What I would like the most is complete transparency. That is my heart's desire, is complete transparency.
So you don't really care where they are in the development cycle, just be honest about it.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it.
Like where are we? What are we doing? You know, do we have models? Do we have gameplay? Do we have some idea of narration? Like just actually, truly something. Please.
Right. That might be a lot of bit to ask from the marketing department. In my experience, honesty is just out of their, it's beyond their horizons. But hopefully we can get a little bit of forthcomingness, which I think you're also bringing into the conversation here about, you know, just kind of leveling with the fans, right? Because for let's put this in perspective. I'm guessing that you want transparency and honesty in retrospect to what we have seen over the past several years.
Yes. I mean, I want to save it for, you know, for the part we don't want, but what I don't want another corpo speech spewage of verbs and words on a screen that mean nothing.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I think a lot of people tend to tune out after the first 10 words if they can tell. that there's a lot of corpo speak in there. But yeah, like you said, let's focus a little bit more on what we do want to see. So do you care whether or not, we get a poster as opposed to a new trailer, as opposed to, maybe even like a couple hints about the narrative? Would you have a preference over, one or the other?
I would prioritize narrative over poster, over character model.
Sure. Now, I think I would tend to agree there, but I think I'd have a limit. If the only thing that they can reveal to us about the narrative is something so cryptic it's worthless, then don't even bring it up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, if it's just more corpo speech that's narrative derivative, like then there was no point. It's got to actually tell me, like, this is Mass Effect after 100 years, or Mass Effect right after everything happened, or right before everything happens. Just something.
That would be huge if we could get a year for the setting of the game. Yeah, when the game begins, that'd be huge. All right, well, I want to open this up to the rest of you guys here with us. Who has specific thoughts about, keeping transparency as a priority in whatever messaging the BioWare marketing department decides to take this N7 day? You can just go ahead and chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, and I feel like that's what I kind of expect to happen this year. Is I feel like last year was, I think last year was the one with the, fail guard. And so they had the letter out that, they're taking a break this year. And then I feel like this year is also going to be like, we're going through like a restructuring. And so they're going to, write a letter. And so that's my worry too. That's, the product we're going to see this year. And I agree. Like, I think, I don't know. I feel like the fandom can only, take so much of that. And so I feel like you just have to like be transparent about where you're at.
Yeah. We're getting into the territory of, those South Park episodes about Game of Thrones. Like, don't worry, the dragons are coming. Like, we're getting into that realm for sure. Don't worry, Mass Effect is coming. Is it? So yeah, I totally get that as well. Anyone else have any thoughts on, keeping the transparency as a priority? Like, be that about how you felt about previous years?
Yeah, I agree with Psych about it all. It's the corporate speak is definitely one that drives me up the wall. I work in a very heavy corporate type environment, and just hearing the boss speak nothing but corporate talk, it drives you up the wall. I don't want to hear that anymore. I want to hear something concrete. I want to hear something with actual weight to it, rather than just, oh, hey, all these platitudes, blah, 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 give me something real.
Right. If I have to hear moving the needle on our core competencies one time, I think I'm going to take the express lane downstairs. So, like, I can't bear to read one more blog post talking about the small core team working on Mass Effect. So if that's all they have to say, I think I'm there with you as well. Just, if that's all you got to say, keep it short, sweet, and to the point. We're working on it. Not even close to done yet. Bye. Don't just try and dance around the topic. I'm there with you. All right. Well, Yukon, I want to jump over to you. What are you looking forward to, would you say, the most this N7 day?
So until about a month ago, I was kind of okay with like preferring almost like a radio silence this year, maybe just like a social media post, a graphic like, hey, thanks for checking in, happy N7 day. And I kind of would have been okay with that. But with the advances that Exodus is making, seemingly at an expedited pace, and seeing the media from like the trailers and stuff like that from The Expanse, I kind of feel like we're in a point now where we might be on the tipping point of being irrelevant. If these other games get off the ground and they start establishing themselves in this space, then instead of being like the top dog or like the older brother, you kind of become the person that's trying to carve out another niche like we were back in 2007. So now I kind of have moved to the fact that, like, just for survival's sake, there needs to be some sort of announcement just for to stay relevant, essentially, to like keep yourself fresh. Now, I don't want it to be nonsense or corporate speak or anything like that. If they came out and they said, hey, listen, we have done absolutely nothing on this game in the past year, and you guys see what's going on right now with the studio, we're not 100% sure when we're going to get back on it, I would actually be okay with that as well. But I don't want another vague trailer and then 1,700 Michael Gamble tweets being like, hey, that was totally relevant to the story, or was it? Who knows? If that happens, I'll probably pull my hair out.
Yeah, I've also kind of had it with the teasy Mike Gamble tweets. Especially when I think it was last year or the year before that. I don't know. They're all blurring together now. But one of those years, Mike Gamble responded to someone saying, please stop being vague and teasy. And in his response, he was vague and teasy. So I don't know if he can help it at this point. I think he is battling the inner urge to tell us everything about the new game that they're working on, but he knows that there are such limitations that what ends up coming out is nothing helpful. So, yeah, I would very much prefer it as well if someone from the studio was like, look, we have not made much progress from last year. But that being said, like, it wouldn't be welcome news to hear that. The honesty would be welcome. However, that being said, I think we also need to keep in mind that whenever there is an N7 day, obviously there is a message that's meant for the fans from the studio. However, given recent circumstances with EA and BioWare, I have to consider the fact that the message coming from BioWare now is also a message to their supervisors and their bosses that, hey, our jobs are justified. I don't know if anyone else here has ever worked in a position or situation like that where you have to relay reports to kind of justify the existence of your job. But like you use the word survival, Yukon, that seems to be on the minds of a lot of people, even some like game developers who I've spoken with when I said, what did you make of this news with the private equity firm buying EA? That this is not a secret, that everyone's just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop to see how we go forward from here as a community, basically. So yeah, I'm there with you completely. I want to open this up though, again, to everyone here that has any particular thoughts on what Yukon is looking forward to in the next N7 day.
Not gonna lie, Yukon, when you were talking about that, I just pictured BioWare being on the side of the bar, like in the open flannel, in the Hawaiian flannel, being like, "Hey guys, I'm still relevant." Exodus and the Expanse are out there drinking, partying, and everyone's just like, "Oh God, BioWare, please stop, please." They have to show that they're relevant still. They have to stick something onto this. Because right now they're getting chased out the room by literally everybody else. We got RPGs galore coming out here. Exodus, not Exodus, but Expedition 33, Final Fantasy doing revivals. They have to show that they're still breathing in the room. Otherwise, people won't pay attention. And nope, Swiley gets swept under the rug.
Who else thinks that BioWare needs to say something to stay relevant? Or perhaps you disagree. Perhaps you think actually they don't need to, that they could allow the spotlight to be taken for a little bit, but swipe it back later.
No, I would say they need to. Like the time for that opportunity that you were just mentioning, Sam, has passed. They've had Anthem fail, they've had Andromeda fail, they've had Veilguard fail. They're out of strikes. They need a home run right now. They need to come up.
All right, right. You could call it a veritable suicide mission.
Yes, you could.
I'll show myself out. No, but seriously, as a kind of optimistic take, one of my most favorite games in the world was developed when the studio had its back against the fucking wall. And that was Morrowind. I don't know anyone who knows a lot about the story, the development of Morrowind, but Bethesda was not in a great spot. And essentially, they knew at the time they were developing Morrowind that this could be our last hurrah. So we might as well have fun with it. And that's what they did. And when it came out, it revolutionized console RPGs and Western RPGs as a whole, because it was, just huge. Anyway, it's not a Morrowind podcast, but that's kind of where my optimism, what little I have, stems from. That sometimes when someone's back is against the wall, they hit a home run and they surprise you. So, all right. I love the marketing debates because, I actually hold the opinion that BioWare doesn't need to say anything this N7 day. They're kind of not, in my opinion, they're not competing against Exodus. They're not competing against any other sci-fi game in the genre because it has been so long. In my opinion, they're really only competing against their own reputation. So if that's the case, take your time, because if you're competing against yourself, you can only beat yourself. So, if I were in the marketing team, that's what I would tell them. But
just quickly, Sam, like in that same vein, like we see the success that Battlefield's having, or maybe you don't, but immense amount of success for Battlefield. 300,000 people waiting in a queue to get into the server on the day that it launched. Obviously, they're part of EA, a company that just got acquired. What better way to show your worth to your new bosses immediately by giving us some little chunk of meat next week and just watching the fan base go crazy, because it's something small yet credible to show the new bosses like, hey, look, they really want this to work.
If they have it, if they have it ready, something substantial anyway, because
they
otherwise
absolutely don't, but just wishful thinking.
Otherwise they're risking a lot, right? They have a lot to lose. Genesis, when I was going on my spiel, I saw you kind of making faces over there behind your mic. What are you thinking?
Oh, just I love your optimism, because that's not normally the card that you play. So very appreciative of that. And I am with UConn on this one. I think they do need to do something. I don't think that they can, because if you miss an N7 day, it's going to be such a huge disappointment to the fans who have stayed loyal. And if you lose that loyal fan base, then it is going to be much harder to get them back and also gain new fans in the future. So I do think that they need to put something out there, whether it's a poster, whether it's another little Liara trailer, whether it's something. I need something.
Yeah, that Liara trailer certainly aged like milk, didn't it?
Yeah.
How many years?
Okay.
How many years ago was that? That was 5 years ago, right?
Maybe 4.
4.
Yeah.
4 years ago. Okay, I thought it was 5. I thought it was December 2025.
I started listening to this Lorecast in February of 22, and you guys came out with that N7 day of 21.
Okay.
And that was when the art trailer dropped.
Got it. Yeah. Like I said, the N7 days are blending together. So the Mass Effect Will Continue trailer, in retrospect, I think it may have led people to believe that they had a lot more work done than they actually had done. Where I remember all the way back in the very first episode of this Lorecast, Tom and I were chatting, and I said, I had this whole spiel about, is Shepard alive or dead, right? And I pulled from here, and here, and here, and then I think at the very end I said, but you know what? This video could literally just be a compilation of symbols that are meant to evoke nostalgia from Mass Effect fans, showing that, hey, here's this part from this part of the story, this part from this part, and we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure that's where they were at that point, and it just took me 5 years to know. But hopefully, whatever happens this next N7 day doesn't take me 5 years to know what was actually going on. So we will see. We'll see about that one. But I wanna jump over to his name is Jeff. Jeff, what are you thinking for the next N7 day? What are you hoping for?
My name is Jeff. Honestly, I'm kind of with you. What you were saying earlier is like I don't want anything unless it's substantial. I don't want these teasers that mean absolutely nothing, because that's all we've been getting the last 4.5 years is pardon my French, but jack shit. They keep coming out with these teasers that, where are they going to go? Where are we going to take this? I want something that actually has some heft to it, some oomph to give me a little more hope that maybe they are going to actually come out with, the next Mass Effect game and within our lifetimes. You know what I mean? So I want something that actually means something, not just we're going to tease you a little bit. Yeah.
I've had enough rounds of blue balls, or should I say Azure balls. I'm kind of sick of the teasing as well. So yes, I kind of agree with you, but I want to ask you, what would that look like? What would something substantial but not teasy look like, considering that they also have to keep the cat in the bag because the game's not out yet?
That's fair. Maybe some gameplay footage, or maybe not necessarily like a mission entirety of itself, but hey, this is how the game's going to look when you guys actually play it, or even a cinematic from the next game, not but something that say, hey, we're progressing on this project that we've been teasing for the last, what's it been, almost a decade now. Because Andromeda came out in what, 16 or 15
17
17, which is 8 years ago now. So it's been damn near a decade since the last one came out, and we haven't gotten more than a teaser here and there in damn near a decade. So something cinematic, gameplay, anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think a lot of fans are gonna resonate with that, because we can look at the years that people were really excited, for better or for worse. Like, I remember the year that the Geth poster came out, the Geth crash site poster. That was a fun one. I think I would also kind of welcome another year with another poster for people to just kind of zoom in on and break down, and maybe a short blog post explaining their status, a la terms like Psych was talking about. Here's where we're at with this. Here's where we're at with that. Here's what's next. Work is continuing, and we'll see you next year. Something along those lines would, I think, go pretty far, as long as, they're not over promising. Don't, making cinematics that lead people to believe that they're farther along in development than they are. But all right, let's open it up to the rest of the chat here. What do you think about what Jeff told us, that he wants to see, something that's substantial in terms of, I'm guessing what you're talking about is something in terms of the narrative, in terms of the story, but understands that, they have to keep the cat in the bag, but don't make it teasy. How do you walk that tightrope?
I would say the first trailer for the first Mass Effect, I feel like that really summed it up really well. You had you got an interior look of the Normandy. You got a look at a couple of the crew members, and then you got the idea that the main player is making a choice: go to Novaria or go to this other planet. And then you make the choice, and then the camera zooms out. You get a look at the Normandy exterior, and it goes to a planet. And that's Mass Effect. So how hard can that be to give us a 30-second trailer of showing us what Mass Effect 4 would look like?
Well, if they have not even had like a 1 page on the story yet, I think that kind of thing might be impossible, right? If they don't know what kind of person they want the protagonist to be, it'd be very difficult. If they don't even have decided on a clear setting, it might be very difficult. But again, there's a lot of ifs because we have no idea what stage of development that they're at. But yeah, I would agree. I know the exact trailer you're talking about, and Rip Calliston, by the way, that would have been a cool planet. But yeah, something like that illustrates the power of choice, I think, would also be reassuring. Like, I think we're all hoping that the next Mass Effect still rewards your choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think like I kind of like the way sort of Exodus is doing it. Like honestly, if they just like kind of rolled out like character reveals, like some of your companions, or like kind of like throughout time, even give us like planet cards, like something like that to kind of like drive some of the narrative, but not necessarily like spoil the story. Because like I feel like Exodus is kind of rolling out some of the companions, but you really still don't know like the story or things like that.
Sure. Yeah. There has been a pretty steady trickle of Exodus details over like, I don't even know. I want to say like the past year, 2 years. I forget exactly when it was announced, but since then I feel like it's been a steady trickle of it. But all right. Anyone else before we head over to the mid-break?
I think something that we need, like not just details, but I think it's more positivity as well. So I'm probably more in line with you. I don't need heaps of details of what the next game is going to be, but I feel like the fandom is something that's in need of some positivity, some good news, knowing that the game is going in a good direction, that the narrative is going in a good direction. So it'd just be great to have something to talk about that's actually been released by Mass Effect. I follow, a lot of YouTube content creators that talk about Mass Effect all the time, and some of those, theory videos are getting more and more whack because there's such an absence of detail. So it'd just be great to have the community be more positive again. Just have something released, whether it's a small poster, even some of that cryptic stuff. I actually quite enjoy that. But just to have something positive to talk about again would be great. Even
a detail like, our team is loving working in the new Unreal Engine environment. We're going to be able to do so much cool XYZ stuff with it that we were never able to do in the original trilogy. So, something like that would go a long way, citing a specific example of what is different now that will enable them to create an even better game than they gave us before. I think it would go a long, long way for some hopium that the fan base is desperately searching for. But all right, with that, let's jump over to the middle of the show. And when we come back, I am going to hear from Hastronaut what he wants the next N7 day to be giving us primarily. All right, let's go to the mid-break.
We have beef, we have bacon, we have beer, the foods of my people.
Young men have funny ideas of what Asari are like. I blame the extranet and computer games.
Rex? Shepard. Grunt? Shepard. Rex? Grunt?
All right, and here we are in the middle of the show. Now, normally this is the part where we read out your 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts or your comments on Spotify. But Jennasis, I have not seen any new reviews. Have you? You're shaking your head no. All right.
No, I double checked and we don't have any new reviews this week.
That's what I thought. All right. Well, your reviews help us become discovered in the, podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, like Spotify. So if you've been listening to the show for a little bit, it really does help us. If you just go on there, you don't have to type like a whole novel. If you don't want, just type like, maybe one sentence. If we've been helping you get through your morning commute, if we've been helping you, when you've been mowing the lawn or shoveling the driveway or that kind of thing, let us know, because it also makes my day, and I think it makes your day as well, Jennasis.
It does. I love hearing reviews and listening to how much other people truly love this franchise.
Yeah.
So I'm all here for the nerding out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't want to take up much more of our time here in the mid-break since our patrons are here with us. So let's go over to the rest of the show.
After time adrift among open stars, along tides of light and through shoals of dust, I will return to where I began.
Solarian reproduction different, very little sex drive. If intended to try human, would try you. Ow, my pancreas.
Now, Genesis is giving me a disappointed mom look, and I don't know why.
Because on the week of our Patreon episodes, our Patreon chats, you consistently forget to thank our patrons in the middle of the show. So, butts, unfortunate benefactor, William, Superfly 440, Retrobot, Lieutenant Tessino, Kira C, and Edboy, big hearts, major loves, all the thank yous from us.
Well, I do personally thank them, at the end of our patron chat episodes. But speaking of our patrons, Hostronaut, tell me what you want from the next N7 day. And, do you want something substantial? Are you picky at all?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little interesting because, I got into Mass Effect way back, and then for a while, I recently, recently got into it a couple years ago, and back into it, and when I got in, I think that was the year that they did that trench coat reveal and had that trailer, and I remember looking at him, getting all excited, and looking around. I'm like, why is nobody else excited? The game's coming out soon. And then I did some research. I was like, oh man, this has been a common theme across the years. So, yeah. So after I kind of dug into it, I was like, okay, I understand. So I mean, for me, honestly, I feel like this year they need something more substantial. I think, I have what I'm afraid is going to happen, and I have what I really want. But what I really want is I feel like you need kind of what I alluded to before. I feel like a character reveal, something concrete to the narrative itself. I really don't want a poster this year, because I feel like a poster you could kind of whip up within a couple days, and it's just something easy to get through the day. And so I just want something that makes it feel like we're making progress. What I'm afraid of is I'm just afraid with the restructuring that behind the scenes there's they're looking at what's on the chopping block, and I'm afraid that's going to push BioWare to go super fast, or they just won't have enough resources to keep going, and that's my my big fear. So I'm hoping that won't be the case, but yeah.
Well, that's a great point to bring up, that they might feel as if they are on the chopping block. So I think this N7 day, it would probably benefit all of us to keep that in mind, that imagine you're working for a studio that feels as if it might be on the chopping block. What are you going to do? You're going to justify your job. And how are you going to do that if you are not at XYZ point in development? That being said, yeah, I would love to get just at least one concrete detail. One concrete detail. Nothing, not cryptic, not debatable. That's why I mentioned, tell us what year the setting starts in. Just something. Just 4 digits. 4 digits, please. Just, that's all I need. Maybe 5, I guess, if it's that far in the future. Who knows? So, I don't know. Genesis, how do you feel about that? Because I feel like, again, you start to review in your mind all of the previous N7 days since Andromeda, and you realize we don't have fuck all for concrete details.
Right. We know that we are going to have a character with a cool looking jacket, and that some of the races we knew in the past are going to be there in the future. And that's okay. We assume that Mass Effect is going to continue in the Mass Effect setting. We got that. Please give us at least one thing more. I think the year is going to be critical. I think that's something that we're all kind of waiting for, because that's going to give us so much to look forward to, because then we can start thinking about our own theories on who's going to be involved and who's not going to be, who has survived that long. Or is it such a short turnaround from the previous game? Now we get to think about how we want our favorite characters worked into the story. That's the thing that I'm hoping for the most, is a concrete date.
Yeah. Yeah, we can. If we get a concrete date, can you imagine the explosion of speculatory YouTube videos that we'll see like that day and like for a straight week afterward? Oh man.
Oh yeah.
It'll be crazy. I mean, we'll be contributing to the noise, but like people don't come to us for speculation, I think, and I like it that way. Because I'm trying to keep my focus on the lore. But yeah, like you just said, you know, the date would reveal just so much, like so much. And short of that, maybe a protagonist name or a protagonist like, you know, description, even where it's, you know, cut and dry. Here's, you know, the kind of person you're going to be playing as your protagonist. I'd also settle for like, you know, is it the same kind of deal as any other Mass Effect previously where the protagonist is our created player character? Or is this a static character that we cannot customize that we play as? Right? That would be a big change for Mass Effect. So, I mean, who knows? But we will see. All right. I want to open this up for the rest of the chat here on concrete details. What is the one concrete detail that you guys would want to see? If you could choose one, just one, and nothing too complicated, just one concrete detail about the next Mass Effect, what would you want to hear about?
So I feel like Hospital and I kind of have the same idea. It's like we want something solid, something we would latch onto, you know, give us a concrete detail. But the one thing I would want to see is kind of what you guys were hitting on, this: when does it take place? I don't care when it's going to release. If it's 6 months to a year to 2 years from now, just get it right, get it produced when it should be. But I want to know when it takes place. So how long does it take place after ME3 events is kind of more important to me than any other detail. And that's what I want. I want something concrete like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and if it takes place super long after Mass Effect 3, then I think we can all kind of rest assured that Shepard's not coming back, because if it takes place long enough after that, it doesn't matter if Shepard survived. All right. Great point. Anyone else want to chime in with their number one concrete detail they would want confirmed on, I think it's not this Friday, but the next Friday, right?
I mean,
I'm sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead, sir.
I would say if we can't get a date, I would love to see some companions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So like when you say see a companion, do you mean like, you know, what they look like? Or would you prefer a description of them and where they come from?
I mean, I would take early character models at this point, you know, just like the throwaway sketches of, you know, here's your prospective Krogan teammate, or here's some ideas we've been throwing around for the new Turian, or here's what Garrus looks like 20 years later. Like, whichever, I don't care. I would take it.
Here's your new Volus Vanguard. I would pay for that. The Volus Vanguard. He's called the bowling ball. All right. Anyone else before we move on?
I feel like it could be even so much simpler than that, because I don't know if I'm the only person. I feel like all the details that we've gotten so far mean absolutely nothing. Even the trench coat person, I don't think that's necessarily a person or a setting that's going to be in this game. That could have just been like a Unreal Engine experiment that they had going. But I'm a huge Arc Raiders fan. I can't wait till Thursday when that comes out. I've been part of the tech tests. I was part of the server slam. I was in the official Discord when they opened the official Discord. And one of the things that they did along the way that I really liked was that they had a weapons test that they released as like a teaser. And it was a weapon that we didn't have access to during the tech testing, during the beta testing. Even if they just did something like that, or like the rolling Volus video clip that you had, Sam, like just like, hey, we're working in Unreal Engine, look how it looks, because the amount of information you can disseminate from a generic protagonist soldier character firing a weapon would be seemingly limitless. Like, oh, is this thematic? Is it an M8 variant, or is it thermal clips? Is it, overheating, recharging, whatever that case may be? If it's just something showing the character moving around in a grid environment, I think that would be great.
Oh man, can you imagine? The next game goes back to overheating mechanics instead of thermal clips. We just go full circle. That'd be amazing. I would love
if
that.
Everybody's talking about how it should be First Contact War. That's what we would get.
Oh, I got to be honest with everybody. If it's First Contact War, I think I'm going to throw my computer out of the fucking window. Like, I don't want that. Because we all know how it ends, right? So it's like, where's the suspense there? But Hostronaut, I see that you wanted to chime in.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just one, I guess maybe really simple, concrete detail that would be nice. It's just because there's been mixed messages in previous years, just even what galaxy we're in. Because with some of these reveals, it's like really hard to tell.
Yeah, and maybe the answer is both. Who knows? And so yeah, the year could be really critical there. But all right, Retrobot, I want to jump over to you. You have been, I think, saving your best idea for right now. So tell me what you want out of the next N7 day.
So what I really want, but I don't think it's going to happen, is there's going to be multiplayer to Mass Effect Legendary. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm gonna move on to more, because we've been kind of negative because N7 days have been kind of lame. So I think EA, they just revitalized Battlefield, so they're going to start looking at other game series and how they revitalize them. So I say they're going to shelf the next Mass Effect game, and they're going to bring out Mass Effect 1 remastered, like the Resident Evil series.
Didn't we get that with Mass Effect Legendary Edition? Isn't that what that was?
Oh, that was just a start. They're going to like completely revitalize how it looks, how it plays. They're going to do the whole Resident Evil thing.
I don't know whether to clap or be mad, because if that were the case, I'd be like, I'm probably gonna end up buying it, and it's like, well, then I have the fell for it again award, because like then it would be a good way, I guess, to get even more people into the series, especially considering that, think about this, there are kids graduating high school now that were not in high school when Legendary Edition came out.
Exactly. And I mean, just look at Skyrim. How many different versions of Skyrim do we have? Like, I own it on like 5 different like consoles or whatever.
Yeah, my favorite is the fridge version. All right. How does everyone feel about that? I also want to address real quick, if they added multiplayer Legendary Edition, and I do think that that's probably out of the realm of possibility, but if they did that, then there would be like such a massive cheer from the online or the Mass Effect community that I think that they might just forget about the delayed progress on the next Mass Effect. Like, that would be the shiniest set of keys to jingle in front of them. Not in a bad way. I think people would like it. But what does everyone else think about that? About the possibility of Legendary Edition, basically like having another Mass Effect 1 remake, but from scratch, and also the possibility of multiplayer coming to Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Okay. I would be furious, and I would not buy it, because I am tired of looking back. I am tired of companies just dusting off the old stuff and being like, "Hey, it's the shiny new thing." And also for multiplayer, I don't like other people. I don't play Mass Effect to play with other people. I play Mass Effect for me. So multiplayer and Legendary Edition, like, woo, but I don't care.
Yeah, fair enough. There's definitely a lot of the Mass Effect fan base that did not take part in multiplayer. And I remember when it was a big deal that Mass Effect 3 kind of required you to play at least a little bit of multiplayer if you wanted to get anywhere close to the max EMS rating. So that was kind of a bummer. I remember that. And I liked the multiplayer. It was okay. But like, man, did it get old really quick. Like, it was like, what exactly is the play cycle here? Why should I keep continuing besides these random loot boxes that I get? So yeah, I kind of feel you on that one. Anyone else want to chime in on multiplayer possibility of Mass Effect 1 built again from the ground up?
So screw you, N7, for making me feel old. First of all,
I'm here anytime.
That was one of the things that I really disliked about Legendary was not having the multiplayer, because that shit was fun. Like you said, it did get old, but I mean, I'm more of a. I liked the wave format that they had in the online version of in ME3 of the Mass Effect Online. I really enjoyed that aspect, because I'm not really good at the player versus player type online. I like the team effort of it. So I actually would be for bringing it back, but I wouldn't want it as a separate game, maybe as an update to the Legendary Edition.
Yeah, fair. That'd be very welcome as well. Okay, Yukon Cornelius says here in chat, power just went out. So Yukon has dropped out of the call, but may or may not be back. Magister, you've been awful quiet. I want to ask you how you'd feel about Legendary Edition instituting multiplayer and or the possibility of us getting like a revamped Mass Effect 1 like with Unreal Engine 5.
I think the multiplayer would be a breath of fresh air for the community. I think that would be something that would be fun, and especially depending on how they frame it, especially if they make it more, if they add like more mission-based type situations there, and like really reframe it to make it not feel like, okay, I have to do this because I want to get the best ending of Mass Effect 3, but more so like this is its own thing, like we're doing Nazi zombies with the husks. Like if they branched it out more, that'd be fun. As for doing another Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, please don't. Like that's the major sin I think Bethesda did with Skyrim. Like they just stayed on that bad boy because they were like, well, you're gonna buy it anyways, and that thing just, yes, exactly, milked it all the way home. And that's why I feel like that's why it's taking like so many years for Elder Scrolls 6 to even be like a thought, because they're just like, why would we make another game? You guys are still buying this one. Let's not go down that road. But that's just not a good one to look at for that, at least for the consumers, I think.
Now, drawing comparison there, at least Bethesda, they put out that original like super short teaser for the Elder Scrolls 6. They put that out like what, 5, 6, 7 years ago, but it has been complete radio silence since then. They have not like put out, little breadcrumbs. They haven't put out, like any other cinematic trailers that would indicate any kind of preparedness on how far along they are on the next Elder Scrolls. But that's kind of like Bethesda's style. If you guys remember, Fallout 4 came out like 3 months after they announced it or something crazy like that. I remember at that E3 or whatever game convention it was that they announced Fallout 4, they had the whole Welcome Home trailer. And then they said, oh yeah, by the way, it's like dropping in the fall, if I remember right. And it was nuts. It was like, holy crap, I can't wait. It's coming out like so soon. So Bethesda kind of has a history of doing that. And I feel like they might do that with the next Elder Scrolls too. But BioWare, on the other hand, has gone the stark opposite direction, where they have put out something every year because they feel like they need to on N7 Day. And I guess we'll see pretty soon. What is it, 10 days from now? We'll see what they put out on N7 Day. But that being said, I wanted to open it back up again, any final thoughts on multiplayer being instituted to Legendary Edition or a Mass Effect remake from the ground up?
I guess I'll say, like I never got to try the multiplayer, and I always wanted to. So I think that'd be fun. But at the same time, I feel like if they went that direction, it would be like it would contradict essentially everything that they unveiled up until now, on each N7 day, and I feel like that would really cause some pitchforks to be raised if they did swing it in a way that was like this is an interim solution until the final game comes out. It would depend how they like present that, but at the same time, I feel like there would always be that thought in the back of your mind that like you could have used these resources against the primary game, and and that's my fear too. With like, I feel like that's why Andromeda suffered as well, and things like that. So yeah, I just feel like just focus on the primary game, and circling all the way back around, just be transparent about where you're at, and just focus on it.
Yeah. Yep. And something that just occurred to me that would be low overhead goes in line with what you're talking about, Hastronaut, is they could just have someone with a camera and a simple lapel mic go around to each of the developers' desks and say, give me 1-2 minutes, talk to me about what you're working on. And, here are the guidelines that the studio manager says we got to like stay within. Don't be this specific. Don't reveal this, or this, but tell me everything else about what you're working on. And then have that as kind of like a behind the scenes series of interviews that they just put out on social media. I think it'd be great. I think people would love that. But all right, I want to jump over to Magister because we are getting a little short on time, but I want to hear from both you, Magister, and Batarian Buttshot. But first, you, Magister, what are you most looking forward to for N7 Day?
What I want is something along the lines of, and as I said earlier, the old school trailers from Mass Effect, or along the lines of old school trailers from Ubisoft when it came to Assassin's Creed. Like I want, hopefully, like a contracted team on the outside who's been working on it for the past 6 months, a CGI like trailer that not really going into the gameplay or anything like that. I know you're not there, but I'm sure there's at least some storyboarding that's happened within the last 5 years that you guys have been doing, at least something to show like a little like maybe like a 2-minute cinematic of the theme, like a hyper realistic theme, like not this, no more like not Fallout, but Fall Guys and that super animated, stylistic type thing. No, make it hyper realistic in the style that you plan on doing, and just give us a brief like story of what's happening. A guy running down the alley, couple of Turians off to the side, he's shooting behind him, going to the jungle. A Krogan is charging at someone, and they're charging back. Like give me some feel of a story in it, in a cinematic. That way it gets the blood pumping. It's along with that. Maybe also, like you were saying previously, a couple interviews. Like I missed the days of the developer dev diaries, like back in the day with Lionheart and all those other studios. Give us something like a little blurb, and then maybe at the end an interview with IGN with the lead people. Just a brief blurb about what's going on. Just give us something to actually speculate on, something that will. Because if you look at all those other videos from Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, or Assassin's Creed, those do rounds and they get into the millions. So that would get some eyes. That would make people feel a little bit more hype. Some background interviews of, hey, I work at BioWare and this is what we're doing and this is how I feel about it. And then an interview. And then I feel like that would just cap things to the point where it'd be like, okay, we're doing this. We're going forward. Here's the footstep. Here's the direction that we're going, and can't wait to see you next year.
So you described a cinematic video that sounded kind of similar to the one we got with the Duster coat from, I think, a couple of years ago. Was that 1 or 2? I can't even remember now. Do you care if a cinematic came out like that? Do you care about what the actual stage of development is like, or do you just want it to, like in your words, get the blood pumping?
More so get the blood pumping. I don't care where you're at development wise. I know you're probably not where you need to be. But you right now, I feel like you more so need to get attention. You more so need to rally your fans a lot of things, and not just a Duster, not just someone climbing up a rock face and look behind them Duster. I want a little bit of story in there. Tell me a little something, like how Assassin's Creed Revelations, you see Ezio walking through a couple of deserts. All of a sudden there's a fight sequence, and then he gets taken to some place where he's about to get hung. Like, give us something that's going to like show a little bit more of what the tone of this is. Is there desperation? Is this about building something? Are we going to be more diplomatic? It show people talking to people. Give us a little something of the story of what we're going to be encountering potentially, even if it's not what's going to be there in the future. Like you said, choosing between the 2 different locations and one of them didn't even show up in the game. I don't care. Put it out there.
Gotcha. All right. That's a refreshing take for Magister. Batarian Buttshot, last but certainly not least, I want to hear what you have in mind and what you would have ideally see when it's released in about 10 days.
I'll take a slightly different tack. I'd love to hear something about other Mass Effect media. So we know, as some good news that's happened for Mass Effect is the TV show is having some progress. So I would love to know that they're not redoing the Shepard story on TV. I think there would be a lot of people who would be pretty pleased with that. Whether it's additional Mass Effect novels, have you got any writers that are potentially doing other work within the Mass Effect universe? There's so much potential there. I mean, I would love to read a novel about Magister DeVita being the first human in the all-Elcor cast of Hamlet, or something like that. That would be great. There's so much potential with the Mass Effect universe. I think that's something that brings us all to enjoying the games and talking about it, listening to the lore cast and everything like that. So I'd love to hear about some progress in those other areas as well.
That's a wonderful, wonderful point, because the TV show production has been one of the more promising aspects that we've heard about the Mass Effect universe recently. So can you guys imagine if we had a trailer, like an actual trailer for the Mass Effect TV show? I think everyone would crap their collective pants and they would probably need a week to just dissect and understand everything about that. But yeah, I think a trailer, even if it was like a 15-second, 30-second trailer from the TV show, I think would still hold the level of credibility, because the TV show hasn't been teased before. So that would be something that's new. That's like, oh, okay, wait. At least we can kind of like divert our attention here and have something a little bit promising. Jennasis, what do you think?
I would love something external media wise, announcement of a book that's coming out. I know that they are still working with Dark Horse. Like, I bought a Mass Effect Jack 3 statue back in March that's going to start delivering here in next month or in December. I'm still buying licensed gear and merch because, I needed the little rubber ducky shepherd. So I think something external media wise would be amazing. Give me more lore in a book, in a comic book, in any format. It would be awesome. I don't know if they're at the point where they can do a trailer for the TV series yet, but if we could also find out concrete details about that. What is the show going to be about? Who is the show going to center its focus around? Anything along the narrative of those. Because if the site is to be, that source is to be believed, they're starting to cast for these roles. That means that a script has been written for it. That means that we know when and where it's going to be taking place. So hopefully we can find out details about that. I would love that.
That'd be so crazy if the script has already been written. Like everyone who has been like a Mass Effect fan for years at this point, just watching the slow progression of the development of the game, and then we find out about this Mass Effect TV show within like the past year. All of a sudden, guess what? Hey guys, the script's already written. That would be insane to me. Of course, that's a lot more simple than creating a game with branching possibilities, because it's an RPG game. It's also a lot more simple for a number of different reasons. It's more linear media than Mass Effect as a game would be. But yeah, that's a wonderful point as well. And again, it doesn't have to be about a TV show like Batarian Buttshot mentioned. You know, what if it was something about a new novel that's coming up? I think everyone would really welcome that, or a graphic novel. You and I both love the comics, Genesis, so another comic would be very welcome. I mean, hell, even like I'm thinking in terms of what other game companies have done, official mods that the development studios have made for games that released years ago, right? Like that's been something that other game companies have done, or updates that add content here or there. That would be cool. So who knows exactly where we're going to be 10 days from now. But I do want to start wrapping this up. And so we'll go around the horn here and just give some of your final thoughts. Let's start with you, Syke.
Okay, so I guess final thoughts are, please no corporate speak. Also, just quick tangent. I would like a little bit more notice or news about the acquisition, specifically by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, how much they're going to have a say in stuff, and that may determine my future involvement in Mass Effect overall.
Sure, yeah. I think that they're probably going to be severely hamstrung on what they are permitted and not permitted to say when it comes to the buyout of their own parent company. So I think that's probably some details that journalists could get on background or off the record, to be honest with you. But otherwise, I think any studio manager that put out a candid statement about that would probably be risking their own job. But Jeff, what are you hoping for in the next N7 day? Sum up your final thoughts here at the end.
After your nice introduction to me, my name is Jeff. I might have to change my username because of that nice 22 Jump Street reference there. Or 22 Jump Street, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as like, give me something concrete, give me something real. I don't want corporate speak. Even if it's something just like, hey, we got this going on with the TV series and on an N7 day, that'd be okay with me.
Yeah, I think we'd all look forward to that. All right, Hostronaut, final thoughts?
Hey, yeah. Yeah, just kind of echoing what everyone else has said, just, just transparency. And, I know I'm, some of the takes like that I've said have been a bit pessimistic, but I am also like super excited. I'm always like excited that, there's going to always clinging on to that hope that there's going to be something, different this year. So I'm hoping that will be the case. Just something concrete, something more transparent on the direction that the studio is going. And just, also just want to say thank you for having me. Long time listener, first time caller. So, yeah.
Well, we're very happy to hear from you. Very happy to meet you too. So, I think, before anyone should jump down anyone's throat at all in the community for being pessimistic or not, just try to keep in mind that just means that person cares. Like, because if they didn't care, they wouldn't care enough to be pessimistic. Like, it wouldn't bother them. Nothing would bother them about the development or lack of development of the series. And on the flip side of that, if someone's being, in your opinion, overly optimistic, let them. Let them look forward to what they look forward to, because God knows this life is hard enough. So just let them enjoy shit, please. All right, that being said, Retrobot, what are your final thoughts?
I feel like I'm going to be overly optimistic. I feel like this is going to be the year something big's going to be announced. But I also, back in my mind, I feel like I'm just going to eat my hat, and it's going to be like there's going to be some random screenshot of Eden Prime, and they're going to be like, Mass Effect is coming, and that will be it.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah. Psych, it's just breathing hard. Anyway, that's a horribly dirty joke. Magister, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts? Don't be vague. Don't do a cyberpunk-esque yellow block of words. Don't do nothing. Put something out there, even if it's a TikTok level of going around talking to people. Give some type of material. You had your buy last year. Don't do that again.
All right, you're skating on thin ice with Magister here. Batarian Budshot, your final thoughts here?
Just feeling really I'm positive and optimistic for next week. N7 Day always happens on the 8th here in Australia, which is a little bit disappointing. But anyway, so yeah, looking forward to N7 Day next week, feeling positive. Love Little Cast. It's the first time I've come on as well. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And that tickles me thinking about it being called Nate Day. It's Nate Day. Everybody celebrate your favorite Nate. All right, Jennasis, what are your final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I too am on the concrete deal train. I would absolutely love something like that. But one of the things that I truly cannot wait for on N7 Day is the amazing artwork that the fandom community puts out each year. Each year I see some of the best artwork that comes out. And I mean, yes, it means that I have to get back on Twitter for a day, but it makes it kind of worth it because my entire feed is just flooded with the characters that I truly adore and love. And now I get to see what people have been working on for the last month, year, the full year that they've been working on since last N7 Day. And it's some of the best time to go celebrate Mass Effect artwork. It also holds a special spot in my heart because this will be year 4 of the girls' the girls' anniversary, because our first episode was released on N7 Day. So,
and speaking of that, by the girls, she means the Two Girls, One Ship podcast, where you can get everything you want to know about what video game romances has to offer. How was that? I just tried to plug your show off the top of my head. I can't remember your exact spiel, Jennasis. How close was that?
That was really, really good. It's the Two Girls, One Ship podcast where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. And this year on N7 Day, we are re-recording episode number 1, which was on Dr. Liara Tassoni of Mass Effect 1.
Whoa. Okay. Well, if you're into the tentacles and you want to hear more about how that romance goes, go check it out. Let me know if you re-record the Ashley episodes. I might know someone who's interested. But okay, so that said, I think we're going to be silent on N7 Day until we see what there is to see, and then we will cover it after the fact. But we may have something exciting planned for just before N7 Day. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys in the loop. And just cross your fingers that it pans out, because it would be pretty awesome. Awesome indeed. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this week, everybody. And when we come back next week, I guess I can't tease what we have planned. I can't. But you will see. It will either be something lore-based or something awesome, and we'll talk about it then. I wish I could tell you more. Anyway, take care, Spectres.